All righty, folks, good morning. This is something I'm calling Coffee with Zuber. This is something that's very exclusive to the school community. It's actually something I hope to do at least twice a month. For those that don't know, Taylor from Life Goal Investments and I used to talk every Monday morning at 8 a.m. He now is so busy that we can only talk on the first Mondays of every month at 8 a.m., which means in most months I have an opening in my schedule at 8 a.m. on Mondays. For the last couple of weeks, I have filled those in with spot interviews with brand new guests. I think what I'm going to do for at least two of those three meetings going forward is just come into school and just have some fun, answer any and all questions, open book. We can talk economy, real estate, marathon training, getting started, scaling, when to sell, when to take equity. Really just an open book. We're over 200 members now, which I think is going to be a pivotal moment where we just keep scaling. I do want to thank all of you for being active participants in school. The community on the school platform is ranked not solely based on student count, it's activity. So if you want to help me help you grow the community, don't be shy. Don't be a wallflower. Introduce yourself, talk about your buy box experience, put in questions, answer questions, motivate others when they get wins. In short, just keep being you. And I think our school community will keep growing. The thing that I like about school is it really has everybody at different levels, whether you're brand new or large. I am getting more and more of my millionaires engaged on the platform as well. Beth Traverso being the latest one to just be added. So expect more of those. So again, this is really open discussion. I will let you guys lead the way. If you want, you can raise your hand if you want to talk. You can leave a comment if you just want me to read it. But yeah, let's have some fun. Don't be shy. Ask crazy questions. Let's just see where the audience wants to go today. This should be fun. So we've already got one hand up. My good friend Martin Weiser. He and I go back a long ways. How you doing, Martin?
Pretty good. How are you?
I'm doing well, man.
Hey, I really was impressed with the 150-pound front squat at the buying Vegas thing.
Thank you.
So,
Thank you.
Mike, you know this, right? But for the rest of the folks, I have two short-term rentals in Colorado mountain towns. And the things that keep me up at night are basically legal issues and tax issues. Now,
Okay.
I don't want to put you too much on the spot, Mike, but I know you went
Sure.
through an audit.
Oh yeah.
I have a pretty complicated tax situation because I have what's called trader tax status. I'm an algorithmic trader. And I've had two audits in my life, but they were very straightforward. So if you could give an overview of what was the audit like? Like, did the
Okay.
IRS come and say, because you have different LLCs, right? Once you have one, do they audit all of them, or do they go mostly for standard or bonus depreciation type things, or do they come and say, I want to see the Home Depot receipt for like 57.33 on March 13th? Like, if you just cover that at a high level, I think that would put my brain at least to ease.
Yeah. So the first thing I would highlight, so that's a great question. Never talked about it before. So thank you for that. This is perfect. I've actually been through what most people would call 3 IRS audits. 2 of them were rather simple. This is the one that comes in the mail that's just a letter. It's, hey, we've looked at your tax statement from 2021. We think you've done X, Y, or Z wrong. That has caused us to say you owe us X. Oh, by the way, interest is accruing until you prove us that X is wrong. Those are rather simple because it's very, very specific. It's like, hey, show us the depreciation schedule for this, or show us the 1031 exchange for that. Those audits, while I was scared the first time I got them, are relatively easy. It's usually 2 or 3 pieces of paperwork. It's usually a 1099 or something that got misplaced. Or one time, one of my guys or one of my LLCs got a 1099 and then got a corrected 1099. and then the IRS didn't have that, so I had to show them those. In short, those first two audits were on a scale of 1 to 10, a 1.5, with 1 being low. Then there's what I went through in 2022. This is what I will call a full tax audit. I don't know what the IRS calls it. Certainly wasn't like the first two. It was a full 8.5 by 11, not letter size. The first two audits were an envelope. This one was, a full manila folder, and it was like an inch or an inch and a half thick. Basically a copy of my tax return that was all marked up. There was a cover letter. The cover letter was 3 or 4 pages. It highlighted not only kind of like documentation issues, but this one was more questioning the logic. Because again, when you file your taxes, you make assumptions. You can make legal-based assumptions. And in this audit, they were questioning those assumptions. And that audit was a 12 on the scale of 1 to 10. Because what happened in that audit is they just kept going deeper and deeper, right? What I found out is they started at some, I don't know, 10,000 foot issue. I remember getting 1 or 2 things closed really quick, but then they like anchored on this thing, and it just kept going lower and lower and lower. It never got to the level of, hey, show me the Home Depot receipt from July 12th. Never got quite that low, but it was exhaustive. It kept getting, they kept going. It seemed like it kept broadening out, where the first two I went through were like very specific. I had to get my accountant, which also happens to be an attorney, involved, which he was involved from one, but he had to do a lot of this because a lot of it was logic based. And we had to go round and round about were my assumptions legal? They were legal, but were they accurate? And they took the other side. That audit took almost 15 months. It probably took 50 hours of my life. It probably took 100 hours of my accountant's life, and was never fun because we were always assumed to be wrong the whole way through. And I did not know where this was going to go.
How were the mechanics on this? So I've been through what you've been, like the 1.5 audits. I've had a couple of those. They were, scary the first time, but, second time you check the box, right? But then how is that like do you have an IRS guy that actually has a phone number that you can talk to see what he wants? Because, sending letters back and forth, there's like a 6-week lag time, and you don't know if it answered the question. So you actually had a guy there.
Yep. We talked to him. I probably talked to him once a month for the first 6 months. And then my accountant talked to him for probably a year straight. And this was during COVID. So usually we would go see him, but during COVID, everything was Zoom calls, faxes, literally faxes. Which I had to go find a fax machine. Was crazy because I haven't had one for years. But yeah, we had phone calls. And oh, by the way, don't ever have a conversation with the IRS without an attorney or your accountant on the line. That was something I did the first phone call. I was like, I assumed it would be another 1.5, not a 1.5. Like when you get a phone number and like so the other thing you'll know when you get really audited, not only get the IRS person's name, but they're going to rattle off an identification number. Hi, I am IRS number Michael Zuber. My ID is 1234567, and you could research them to make sure you're not getting fraud. So yeah, their phone for he was our point of contact the whole time. He brought his boss in the last 3 months or so. Oh yeah, it was exhausting.
Okay, awesome. Nope, thanks for answering that.
Yeah, of course. I wish that on no one. I wish that on no one. That was no fun. Thanks, Martin. Hey, Frank, how are you? Oh, on mute, buddy. There he is.
Here I am. Good morning. I had a question. I'm not sure if I heard right, but I thought a year or two ago, well, let me start in the beginning. We're under contract for a property. we got the inspection. It came back with quite a bit of work needed. And I wasn't sure. I thought I heard somewhere where someone had structured a deal where the seller, say for example, we think it needs 10K in repairs.
Okay.
And instead of the seller giving a credit for that, they did the deal so that the buyer got the 10,000 through escrow so they could do the repairs after the purchase. I don't know if that's really a thing, but I'm just thinking, like, if you have money for your down payment and to purchase the property, but you wouldn't have 10K for the repairs, if that was a way to
Yeah,
do.
it's certainly all negotiable. Again, it all can be put in a contract. I have never done it that way. I've either had the sellers do the work or I got a credit. But yeah, I don't see why you couldn't work into the contract or escrow that you receive a 10K check at the end, or maybe it's not a check. That may be, they may want to hold it in escrow, right? Where you can bill against. There's lots of ways you could structure that. But yeah, so if you're going to get a mortgage though, I don't know how the mortgage, that would probably be a question for the mortgage guys, because because you're only allowed so much credit. So I would ask, Matt, the mortgage guy, or, Convoy or whatnot. Yeah. Are you getting like an FHA or Freddie Fannie, or is it a DSCR loan?
No, it's a regular Fannie Freddie.
Yeah. So it would not shock me if that's a disallowed transaction, the more I think about it.
Okay. Okay, that helps. I'll check in with the lender.
Yeah, because I think I have a sneaky feeling that's going to be called a disallowed transaction. But yeah, it's a mortgage broker question. But I don't see any reason, logically speaking, because again, that's, to the seller, it's the same thing, whether a $10,000 discount or 10,000 cash. It could also impact the appraisal, perhaps, now that I'm kind of playing this within my head. But yeah, it's definitely a mortgage question, because I'm not sure they're going to be okay with it. Because again, you're borrowing at some percentage, and then you exit with part of the check. So that's where that might break down.
Okay, cool. Thanks.
Yeah, good luck. Hey, Santiago.
Hey, how's it going, guys? Yeah, so a couple questions, if you don't mind.
Of course, that's why we're here.
First one is regarding the self-financing strategy. The idea behind it, I guess in most cases, well, maybe not most cases, right? But in general, there will be a balloon payment at the end of that, maybe 5 or 10 years or whatnot. What's the approach to that, right? Because then I'm thinking that 5-year comes up, where am I getting this balloon payment from, right? I saved on interest, but I have a huge obligation.
Yeah. The first thing I would tell you, having done a 5-year balloon, is never do a 5-year balloon. I won't do balloons less than 10 years at this point. We almost lost an apartment building because we didn't have the balloon payment. But thankfully, we worked it out and the seller gave us another 5 years. But that was a scary moment, right? When you've got $1 million property or over $1 million that you could potentially lose because you don't have the balloon. So first word of caution, do everything you can not to have a 5-year balloon. But that's still, the question still begs. The answer is really simple. Unfortunately, you either need to do a refinance, which hopefully you've had some mortgage pay down by then, or appreciation, or you need to sell the property. Balloon payments. I mean, you've got to get around it somehow, or you can go back to the seller and see if they want to extend, like I did in our example. They gave us another 5 years. To be clear, you don't have to have balloon payment. I will agree with you that 80% of our seller finance deals have balloons, because the sellers we are working with are up in age, but we have several that are just 30-year fully amortization. I think a lot of people come into seller financing deals assuming that you always have to have a balloon. That is not correct. And I'll tell you this much. Every deal I write up starts with no balloon, unless the seller tells me up front they want one. Then, of course, I work it in, but I start with no balloon.
Gotcha. And the selling point for them would be you're just getting more interest paid the longer you.
Now you delay taxes, you spread it out. Oh, by the big thing that I usually sell is it's an asset, right? This is, Father Time is undefeated. We're all going to pass. But what happens when you pass is this note that I'm now paying you is something you could transfer. It could be in your will or your estate. And oh, by the way, one thing I did with the seller is we pre-negotiated that. We're like, okay, when you pass, because I was 30 years younger than him, the payments get divided between 3 of his grandkids, right? So we've already had that discussion.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good to know. Good stuff. Okay, thank you. The second question is, and I asked this on the community as well, and I got some good feedback on it, but I wanted to get your opinion. If I'm buying in a new construction, right, a new community, a community or whatever, is it recommended to go to the builder to get those, those incentives, the lower interest rate, etc., or is it recommended to go through a realtor, an agent?
No, I can only tell you my experience as always. So I'm currently talking to you from a brand new construction property in Vegas. And I was working with the great agent, Brian Lebo, in Vegas, right? He's been on my channel all the time. Love the guy, good friends. What I had to do is I had to go direct to the builder. So we found a house, the house I'm in today, that was already completed and the buyer backed out. And all Brian could see is what it was listed for and all of that. But what we did is we found a agent for Lennar. We just started talking to them. We actually had this conversation in a completely different community, which is really funny. And we were talking about this community we're in and, this, that, the other. And he said, you know what? Let me show you something. He went to his computer, he pulled up a file and said, that property, that one that we're looking at, has been identified as one that we must sell. Right? This kind of inside baseball. Now, this might be something that Brian could have figured out, but I don't think so, because I think it would have been agent to agent and they would have been kind of I don't think they would have told him this. I think it was because Olivia and I were there at the open house that he was bored probably. And we just realized it was identified as a problem. Again, one of the things I keep telling people is I want to buy from people that don't want it. This was a brand new completed construction in a crazy community that the builder wanted out of. And once we saw that, we went to the community, we found an agent at the community, and we wrote up an offer that was 18% below list price. I'll just give you the numbers. So it was listed at roughly 1.2 million. We offered $1 million. They came back to us the same day at 1.08, so just under 1.1. We had more conversations with the agent, realized that they were offering incentives at other locations. So our next offer was 1.05. So we asked for 30,000 less. We asked for 30-year money at 4.99% fully amortized, so fixed. And we asked for $10,000 in closing cost credit. Again, these were things they were offering in other communities, not the community that we were in. And then they came back to us and they agreed to everything. Wow. So again, I don't believe Brian, with all his goodness, wouldn't have been able to get us this deal. Olivia and I have talked about it a lot. And it was because we realized that this was a problem for them. And then we kept doing our research and figuring out what they were offering in other communities. So we bought a brand new build complete for 6 figures less than list price. We got stupid low interest rates. This one rates were 8%. We got sub 5. And we got closing cost credit. So I believe we got the best deal because we went direct to the builder.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Good to know. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. That was a long story, but I wanted to give you
No, that was great. Thanks.
Okay, cool. Armando, how we doing? Oh, we're on mute. Sorry, man.
Hey, how's it going?
Good, man. How are you?
Good. So I'm a builder. I do several things as far as like new construction. I started off having a real solid buy box years ago. That's where I had most of my success. After that, I kind of got into like just higher end property. So I don't have a specific buy box. So I'm working in Arizona and I'm working in LA. As of now, things have changed. I've listened to your channel for a lot of years or several years, and you keep talking about the high end is going to be start to get affected, and I am testament that it has, because I do high end, And so I'm, you know, the last several months have been in a sense tough because it's kind of like who moved my cheese type of thing. It's
Sure.
and so I'm looking to, in a sense, pivot, reinvent myself in the sense of my whole goal has been to buy and hold for long-term appreciation and cash flow and all that. I have a property in Los Angeles that I bought through a 1031 exchange. It's a duplex in the front, and it's got space. I already have the approved plans for 2 ADUs, so I already have that. And so I even paid the one tenant that was there to get relocated, so it cost me about $40,000, which you know, yeah. And so right now I'm at the point where I'm looking at some of these values of like things that are around that area, and for some reason, like it's historically been a good area. It's like over by kind of like where some of the museums are, and like it's in by the Grove area. Like it's a good area. It's a great area actually. It's always, and so I don't know. I've noticed that some of these rent control properties have gone down substantially. Like I've seen some of them trading even at like $250 a square foot, $300, 275, $300 a square foot, which is almost mind-boggling. I'm like, that's below replacement cost.
It's bananas, yeah.
And so my whole plan was to build these units out, keep them for long-term and cash flow, but I'm running my numbers on your spreadsheets and it doesn't pencil. It doesn't pencil. So what I'm thinking of doing is pivoting and selling them off as tenants in common, as ticks, because there's comparables that can sell for about $600 a square foot. And so that's my exit. But moving forward, as far as identifying a buy box, are maybe these rent control buildings an opportunity? I mean, I'm looking at
it's really interesting. It's really interesting. So what I would do, again, this is fascinating. Like rent control properties, if I was trying to learn this market, I would watch what's going on in New York right now. There are some New York properties rent controlled that are trading at 1960s prices. 1960, like the year, like the decade.
Wow.
Right? Because you can't get financing, you can't raise rents. You're seeing costs explode. They're basically alligators the day you close unless you pay cash. That's what's happening. Right? So is there an opportunity? There is, if you like risk, because what I'm seeing, again, I know a couple of guys fishing in that pond in New York specifically. We were just there and I talked to them. Their plan is a 5 to 10-year plan. So they've got the scratch or the capital to hold these, and they're going to pay cash because they can't get loans. But basically the game they're playing, and it's risky, is they could take these from rent controlled to unrent controlled somehow, some way. Change in leadership. I mean, that's like gambling at a next level.
Yeah.
That's never going to be my play. It's not a play I would recommend. But when you talk about opportunity in my world, that's the game you can play. Like if you think LA County is going to go through some massive political change, which I think it'd be foolish, but if that's the game you want to play, maybe there's opportunity. But at the end of the day, you go broke buying cheap, right? Buying a rent controlled property where the only thing going up is expenses and not rent, that's a money losing proposition.
Good to know.
Yeah. Sorry.
All right. No, that helps. That, I mean, okay, I'm looking for something else. So, okay, sounds good. I appreciate it.
Yeah, the one thing I would do for you, just to key on, one of the things that I would look at doing if I was a builder and had that skill set is I would get a buy box in good areas, non-rent controlled, right? None of that. Like corner lots, alley access, and I would go ham on that, right? Thatch Nguyen, I think, is doing some great stuff in Seattle. He's years ahead of us. But if I was in LA and I had that, I would get a buy box, all corner lots, all alley access, and go that way. I just saw there was a California article the other day that San Jose, California is now the first city or county. I guess city, because San Jose is in Santa Clara County. The first city to allow developers to sell their ADUs, right? So you buy a lot, you build the ADU, you do a lot split, and now you can sell the ADU to someone else. Do that. Those numbers look really good. I suspect LA County will go that direction. But again, if I had that skill set, that would be my buy box all day long. Give me every corner lot. Give me all alley access. Give me every lot over 8,000 square feet or whatever. Just go ham.
Yeah. And yeah, and as far as being able to sell them off individually, I think that's coming for other cities as well.
Oh, no question. I mean, we have a housing shortage. The king of California, which of course is Gavin Newsom, wants to fix it. And that's one way, right? Basically it's buy by the foot, sell by the inch. Buy the house in the lot, take your experience, build the ADU for, I don't know, $250 a square foot, do a lot split. Now there's two houses. You sell one, you sell the other. You could legitimately print money doing that, assuming you can do the lot split and sell, buy one, sell two. I mean, that would print money.
Awesome. All right. Well, I'll keep you posted. I'm definitely going to look into that. Appreciate it.
All right, Armando. Good luck. Karen, how are you? Hi. Hi, little one.
Good morning.
Good morning, Karen. Hi, Karen.
Hi. Okay.
There she is.
How was your vacation?
Okay, there we go. Good morning. I'm multitasking this morning.
No problem.
Okay, so I have two questions. One is I'm finishing up a complete remodel right now.
I remember that one. Yep. In the
Yeah,
mountain area.
we're delay after delay after delay, so I haven't been too happy about it, but we are almost done.
Almost done.
Almost done. So now the question is, I have to build a retaining wall in the backyard. How much money do you actually put into your backyards? Because I was thinking about building the retaining wall because quite honestly, I have to.
Right.
It's not really an option. And then just throwing down decomposed granite.
So again, if it's a rental unit, which I think this one is, I have never gotten $1 from a backyard. You got to do what you got to do, right? You need a retaining wall. You need a retaining wall.
Yeah.
But I've never done. The only thing I've ever done to a backyard that helped with rent or rentability is a fence, right? Because where I am, it's city lot, so that they want a fence for their backyard. You're up in the hills. I don't know if that makes sense. But the only thing I've ever done to a backyard is a fence. I've removed swing sets. I've removed pools. That's all I've done with backyards.
I'm redoing the fence right now because it fell down. That's how bad it was. So what about the front yard? Because due to fire safety, I was forced to Cal Fire plan. I had to take out like 9 trees, but I need to put in like a walkway because I am in the mountains. So again, I was thinking about just simple decomposed granite and let them do whatever they want because it's the mountains.
Yeah. So front yards, again, I have an idea on front yards is you got to remember that most tenants will drive by and see the front yard. If it's not well kept or safe, or they see a path from car to house, they're just going to keep on driving. So I would do the minimum. And when in doubt, I go clean, just clean. I remove trees all the time. I remove bushes. I get stuff away from the house. But you got to remember the front yard is what people see first, and it has to be clean. So I would put more money in the front than the back every day.
Okay. My other question is, on my other rental, I'm about to raise the tenant's rent, and I'll be honest, this complete remodel has just exhausted me. I mean, it's just exhausted me. And I feel like I need a little bit of a break, to be honest.
Okay. Sure.
I need to recoup.
Yeah, I've been there. I know exactly how that feels. Yeah.
But my other rental is in Selma, so junky little town, right?
Yep, I know Selma.
Yeah, used to be a good little town. I used to live there. But anyways, so I'm gonna have to raise my rent on my tenant because it's just that time and I have to do it. But if I want to make bring it up to current market rates because rates skyrocketed over the last 2 years, I have to kick this guy out and do a remodel. Now, granted, the bathroom and the kitchen, they need a remodel. It was built in 1971. It's pretty old. It needs
Right.
to be updated.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But I'm torn about dealing with the drama of that.
Yeah. Yeah, the one thing I would do is I would do, you know, Dion's binder strategy, right? So I would tell you that most of the time, especially if it's a good tenant in this case, meaning he pays on time, he's not a problem, you know, all of that. I would go in with the binder strategy, which again will take rent below market. It will be something seen as fair by him and you don't have a turnover. The good thing about having a great existing tenant is he's not going to require you to do any updates.
Right. So I did think about doing that, but then I was researching and I don't think I can raise rent more than 8.8%.
So in California, if it's a single family home, I think there's some rules around LLC or not. We'll have to check that. But as a single family home, you don't have the rent control. It's on units, but depending on how you hold the entity.
It's a condo, so townhouse.
Okay, that's okay. So as long as it's a single residency, I do not believe that you are under rent control. It's for multiple units. So we'll have to verify that.
Okay, all right, thank you, because I thought that I was completely stuck at that percentage, and I'm like,
No, so again, so what I would research, and I would Google this, don't believe some guy on the internet, including me, I would Google California rent control and look for the exceptions. And I believe, because I have these, single family homes are exempt. I do believe, I seem to recall something about if it's held in LLC, you may be hit, but if you're not, then you're not part of rent control. Verify that. I am 98.5% sure you are not under rent control, but please double check.
I will.
At 11 is when I.
Okay.
I need to
Thank you.
see
Of course. Have a good day.
some specific
You
ones
too.
for today.
Take a breath. Take a month. You need a break.
I do.
You got this, Karen. Thank you. All right, folks. Again, raise your hands, put in comments, ask questions. Let's have some fun. Hi. Why is? Oh, where are you? Hi. Oh, where'd she go? There she is. Let's see if I can unmute you, Carolyn. Oh, can I unmute her? I think you're trying to come on, right, Carolyn? Oh, question in chat. Is that what she's saying? How do I unmute? Let's see.
There. Can you hear me now?
I can. Hi.
Hi. This is we're working on our rental right now, optimizing.
I see that.
For Matt, the lumberjack landlord. Quick question. It seems like from what all you and Dion and Matt are saying that the next 12 to 18 months will be a better time to buy a multifamily, you know, a 4 and less. Am I hearing that correctly?
No, I think so. Kind of yes and no. I just want to clean up the vocabulary. What you're hearing, Matt and I, and then by happenstance, Dion as well, is it's actually 5 units and above that'll be better. And it's basically because of financing, right? When you hit 5 units and you go above, you're into something called commercial financing, which typically has terms, 3-year, a 5-year, a 7-year, a 10-year, perhaps. No 30-year money. And that's the stuff that's blowing up. 4 and below, generally speaking, residential, generally speaking, 30-year fixed. So if you're looking for opportunity, AKA pain, it's probably 5 and above.
Okay. Because I know Matt's selling his single families and he's looking for opportunities. I would imagine that's 5 and above he's looking for.
Yeah. I mean, he'll look at everything, but yeah, it's 5 and above. And, I mean, he's doing some retail stuff now and all of that. Yeah. He's definitely selling. I heard him. He's selling his last 3 houses in 1030 or hoping to 1031.
Okay. All right. And okay. That was what I want to know. Thanks so much.
Awesome. All right. No, raise your hands. Ask some questions. I got a question from John here in the chat. You can always go chat if you're in a busy environment or whatnot. We'll go here. Good morning. I usually file my own taxes, but once I buy a property, how do I vet a potential bookkeeper accountant specifically for filing taxes? The biggest thing I will coach you on, John, is you need to find an account that does real estate. They're not all the same. When you are, you're a W-2 employee, it's not a 1090. Yeah, you get a 1099 or whatever that is. W-2. It's really easy to do your taxes. In fact, you could do it online with TurboTax. It's that simple. There's a lot inside of real estate. And it's kind of the question earlier from Martin, kind of piggybacking on this. There's a lot of wiggle room in the tax code around assumptions, especially around real estate, depreciation, bonus depreciation, business expense, non-business expense. The only word of advice I would give you is get an accountant that understands real estate, preferably, preferably, an accountant who actually owns real estate. Since you are a member of school, you can go to the classroom section underneath special guest. You will see the EA that the accountant that Lumberjack uses, the one that Olivia and I will be going to when our accountant retires here this year, Bob Langworthy. He owns his own stuff. That's all he does. Most of his clients are real estate people. And I would tell you, just for kind of my experience, probably only 1 in 10, maybe 1 in 15 accountants understand real estate. It is so much easier just to be a W-2 accountant, fill out the forms and move forward. Real estate's a different animal. It's a different asset class. The rules can change, right? Bonus depreciation, I think, came out with the Tax Reform Act of, whatever. Yeah, definitely get an accountant that understands real estate. Strongly, strongly suggest. All right. I don't see any other hands up. I think that was the only comment. What else we got going on? Today's daily financial news, I don't know if you saw it, but working with Spencer and a guy named Jack. Spencer Cornelia, just put a last name on that, and Jack Shelby, part of Iced Coffee Hour, were those two guys. That was fun. They're both working on seller finance deals. It's fun to help those guys. All right. N. Seba is the name I see with your hand up. How you doing?
Hey, Michael. How you doing?
How are you?
I am doing good. Hey, I was just a follow-up question for the commercial side of things.
Perfect.
So, very young, new to this whole environment. Kind of looking with the pain that's going to be coming in commercial, the kind of back and forth between commercial versus residential that I've had in my head is the residential is going to have higher quality attendance and kind of easier management, I would say, compared to the commercial.
Sure.
And the cost to entry and skill to entry is a lot lower in residential because it is less people, less entities involved. Do you think it would be a good idea to get into commercial as opposed to residential right now because of the pain coming? And then how much capital would you need liquid in order to get into it?
So in my opinion, everybody should start residential. Even Grant Cardone, the man himself, started with a single family home. You've got to cut your teeth. You've got to do it in a way with the least amount of risk. You got to do it with the most options to get out, right? If you get a bad deal in commercial, you're effed. There's only so many sharks out there swimming, and they're going to eat you alive. When you go residential, you have owner occupants, you have investors. So what I would tell a young guy, myself included, is go buy something between a house and a fourplex. If you're in the right frame of mind, the right lifestyle, go house hack. Don't overthink it. 3.5% down, house hack, take your largest expense, X taxes, move forward again. If I was 20 years old, I would house hack a fourplex in the Silicon Valley all day long. And to be honest, I would do it again. And I would do it again. Like every year and a half, 2 years, I would do it again. Don't overthink it. Don't go commercial because you hear some guy on the internet, myself included, talk about pain coming. You still got to cut your teeth. You're going to be in this game for a long time. We're talking decades. Don't chase, something too big that just kills you, right? You go chase a grizzly bear with a bow and arrow, you're probably going to die, right? So go buy a single family home, cut your teeth, get some experience, go get some scars. right? You heard from Karen earlier, who's doing a remodel. It's tough out there. Don't overcomplicate it. Yeah, full commission, residential. If you can, house hack, go ham.
What's the skills and lessons that need to be learned before taking on bigger and more? Because that's kind of the
Tenant
I bought a
management.
house
Tenant
management.
Tenant management specifically. Dealing with people,
see.
man. People lie, people steal, people tell stories.
Yeah.
Working with contractors, right? You work with a contractor in a house, they can get you. But you work on a contractor on an apartment building, they will definitely get you. Right? This is all you gotta learn where the risk is smaller.
Sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Gotcha. Cool.
Sounds like I made you depressed. Don't be depressed. You're young, man. You got decades ahead of you. You got all this stuff coming. You've got it.
Just looking at all the different avenues, you know, I've thought about pursuing
Yeah,
business right now to grow capital and
yeah.
kind of learn those lessons too.
So let's have this conversation. Let's have this conversation.
Sure.
Lots of new investors get into this game and they're I'll call it distracted, for lack of a better term. They're all over the map.
Yeah.
If you're all over the map, you aren't going anywhere.
Right.
Again, how old are you, if you don't mind me asking?
27. Nice and ripe.
Nice. Good. That's a great age. Again, what I would do is I would house hack. Take your largest expense, get it to zero. Figure out how it is to work with tenants. I would probably move in a year and a half or two and do it again. You know what? What I would do is I would do 3 4-plexes. I'd have 12 units, probably financially free, before I looked up one commercial. Even if commercial is bad as I think it is, you're not ready for that.
Right.
You got to go get the little scars and the wounds and go, ooh, I remember that guy. He got me for $1,500. I'm not doing that again. Right? $1,500 is survivable. 15 grand might not be.
Yeah. Well, I guess I'll continue more. So I bought a house, I guess it's 2.5 years ago now, and I went through quite a few rehabs. You know, I put a French drain in. I've done some foundation work, done all the plumbing, electrical, HVAC. Like kind
now,
of.
when you say done, does that mean your hands got dirty or you wrote a check?
My hands.
Nice work, man.
So
wow.
yeah, kind of more background. I engineer by trade, and my dad's a mechanic, so I've done a lot of, just a lot of hands-on through the years.
That's all. You got a great. You are. I like this story so far. Okay.
Everything up to tenants, I kind of have a pretty good management on. That's I've worked with contractors for my day job, and like I feel pretty comfortable
That's awesome.
on all that. It's just the actual tenant myself, and so it's I got married a year and a half ago now, I think.
Okay.
So
you better know that answer, buddy.
Everybody keeps asking, and I try to just say, well, it was November of 2022, so however long that is now. I don't have to keep up on it myself. It's
there you go. November 22. Got it. Okay, that's fine.
Yeah. So she's living here now, and we're kind of I've still got a few more things I want to do to this house before, but I bought it as a rental, and I mean it'll cash flow well. Probably I don't know, probably 300 or 400 after expenses and maintenance and all that held back.
Okay.
So
pretty
comfortable with it all. It's just trying to make the next move, and I had some extra capital while I was repairing this one, so I put it in a private investment, and I think that'll return here within 6 months, probably be around 200,000. So trying to figure out where to throw that is kind of the next. If I want to do another owner occ, or if I want to go buy a cheaper investment and then deal with the tenant management where there is less risk, and then just hold the capital until I get that experience, and then go into something that maybe a little more.
Well, the good news is you got options. So again, what I would do is I would talk to my wife, who I've now been married to for 18 months. Look at the math. I did the math for you. And I would say, honey, I want to share the plan I have with you on how we could be financially free in 8 years or less. In order to do that, the thing that we need to do is we're gonna rent this house. You and I are going to move into a 4-plex. It's not forever. It's only for a couple of years. It's only till the kids come, whatever the story is. And the reason we're going to do that, honey, is we're going to cash flow this place $400. We're going to live in this 4-plex rent free. And I'm going to gain experience now from having 4 tenants, right? The house plus the other 3 in the 4-plex.
Sure.
And that's going to help us scale up. And oh, by the way, honey, my plan, if it goes this way, is we're going to do this one more time. On my 30th birthday, we're going to move one more time. So at the end of that, we're going to have 9 tenants, I think, 8 tenants live in one unit. And then, honey, that's the last time. After that, we're going to go get a house for ourselves so the babies can come.
Mm-hmm.
I would lay that plan out, because if you can do that, if you fast forward 5 years, now you're in your first time home, the babies come, you have 9 rental units, 2 fourplexes and a house. You're probably cash flowing, I'm just going to wild ass guess, $3 to $4 grand, which maybe your wife can stay home. I mean, that's the story. That's the plan. That's kind of my thinking.
Yeah. Yeah. Multifamily around here, Kansas City is where I'm at. They kind of go like hotcakes. It's a pretty popular idea right now, and there's not a whole lot of options. And so the one thought that I've had as well is, end goal, I would love to do a whole townhome complex and build 32 doors.
Nice.
8 floors would be, and I can do it on about 2 acres. And it's just trying to find the land to do that is kind of my, because then I could build a 4, live in the first unit, and then build the next 3. And then after those 4 are done, I'd probably just stay in the 1 and just keep, if it's on the same plot, just build all 32.
Yeah, I get you.
That's kind of a pie in the sky dream at the moment. I think I need some more
dude, put that
capital
on your vision board. I see that in your future, probably in your 30s. That's a great idea.
Yeah.
But again, the other thing I just want to tweak the mindset a little bit, right? I understand they go like hotcakes. I understand it's been that way for a couple of years, no doubt. I understand house hacking is a popular idea. Let me remind you that in the winter months, people take their eye off the ball. We are in what I think is going to prove to be the slowest transaction period of my adult life, which I've been around a long time. And I want you to take that mindset and flush it down the toilet, because I think if you did the work and you were aggressive, you might be able to find it. It sounded like you were already kind of like, can't do it. I'm telling you guys, all of you, the next 6 months are going to be fundamentally different than the last 3 or 4 years. More opportunity, off market. The other thing I would tell you to do, sounds like you know your stuff, is I would start to work with wholesalers. Like something I did in 21 is I gave a wholesaler my buy box and I paid for their marketing. And all I asked for was first right of refusal on anything they found.
What's the details of that?
So again, tell them I want to buy a fourplex in wherever you are, zip code. What happens is that wholesaler will go run a list. The list will be 300 people. What I paid for was 2 mailers. So each postcard cost, I think at the time, like 77 cents or 87 cents. So basically what I did is I gave the guy like $700. And all I asked for is any phone calls that come in, I want first right of refusal. So if you got a lead on my buy box for an off market, I want you to call me first. And they did. Now, in this case, nothing came of it. So I flushed $800 down. But I got to look at 3 deals before anybody else. Right? If the market was that hot, those are again, the market's changing. I can see it already in the data. It's slowing down. And in a slower housing market, you can get opportunities like Spencer and Jack that I talked about this morning on the Daily Financial News. We have sellers who have wish pricing, right? They want to sell for 500 when the house is worth 400. That's never going to go anywhere. But hey, if you understand seller financing, they own it free and clear. Maybe there's a way you can create a deal. So realize that the next 6 months is going to be ripe for opportunity for people who do the work and get creative.
Sure. Yeah. No, I really appreciate the feedback.
Cool. Enjoy it. It's a process, man. And again, you're going to be in this game for decades. So don't rush, don't gamble. Realize you're already ahead of the game. The experience you have is going to do you a lot of good. That hands-on stuff is irreplaceable. So you got a lot going for you. So keep it up.
Yeah. Thank you.
You got it. Karen, I see your hands up.
Okay, so Michael, you might not know about this, but I have to transfer my husband's 401k over to my name, so I did that, but apparently I only have a year to transfer it into something else. I have no idea about that. I'll reach out to a financial guru about it,
Yeah,
but
I've never heard of anything.
yeah, I
like
thought I
that.
could leave it in there, but apparently they're saying, oh no, you have to transfer it out. So
No.
I don't know.
No, let me ask. So again, transferring your husband's 401k, that came like it was in different mutual funds, I'm guessing, or whatever, right? And it's
Through
now in your name,
yeah.
right? So
Right.
I've never heard of that. What they might be saying is you have to self-select, because right now the selections are still his.
Mhm.
You may have to, because again, it's now your money. They may want you to make selections. Now, it would shock me if you can't self-select the same things, but maybe when it's in your name, those aren't available. Yeah, this is definitely out of my wheelhouse, but it would make logical sense to me that they would want the new person, you, to make new selections for you. I mean, that logically makes sense, but I've never heard of that.
Okay, so I'll reach out to somebody because they said I have about a year to make that final decision, so I need to do that. But one of my other thoughts was you had somebody on who talked about doing a self-directed IRA and
Yeah.
purchasing houses with that money.
Yep.
And so I just kind of wanted to get your thoughts on that.
Yeah, so I know lots of people, typically in self-directed IRAs, most of the people that I know use it lend money out of it on projects.
Okay.
You can absolutely buy real estate in there, but realize it comes with a lot of other rules. Like you can't add money, right? Because it's an IRA. So you have to have a cushion in there for maintenance and repairs. I got to tell you, it's one of those things that just looks too hard to me. But there's a lot of there are self-directed IRA experts, which I am not one. But I will tell you, in my 20 years of experience, most of the people that I know that are doing real estate in it are lenders, not owners. There are a few that I know that own, but it's tough.
No, I don't have time for that.
Yeah.
I just
Yeah.
don't.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thanks.
All right. Good luck, Karen. All right. We're just coming up about time. You guys are amazing. Mark, the financial firefighter, man, what's going on in your world?
Not much. We just had the East Coast accountability
saw
group
that.
yesterday. So
I
yeah,
saw
it was a
that.
lot of fun. We had a great turnout. We're gonna probably try it for, we said 4 weeks at that time. Some
Yeah.
people kind of maybe said they'd prefer a different time or day, but we'll probably stick with that for 4 weeks.
Yeah, for 4 weeks, it's fine, and then test it out. And
Yeah.
I just love the fact that, I put it out there and you guys stepped up. I think the fact that we have now 2 accountability groups for different time zones is this community is so awesome. So thank you for doing that.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I mean, yeah, it was probably about 90 minutes, had about close to 20 people showed up, and
yeah,
it was
nice.
Great. So Frank,
cool.
watch out, man. We're gonna
We're coming.
steal a lot of your people.
It's all love, man. It's all family.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, you all are amazing. Thank you for being a part of the community. Again, if I had one request, just be active, ask questions, respond, show support, encouragement. Let's just keep being great people. Take care. Have fun. Later.